analysis now with Matthew Orr. He is Eurasia analyst of RAIN. He joins us live from beautiful Aspen, Colorado. And Matthew, let's just begin with the situation as it stands. Of course, Nord Stream 1 is currently shut down, and whether it's technical or political, this shutdown is going to continue to tighten the screw and put the squeeze on Europe. Just walk me through the impact so far.
Yeah, we think that we should say that Putin's already limited flows to Europe have already strained the market, right? We saw a massive spike in the cost of natural gas to Europe just a few days ago. And we think that although the Nord Stream 1 pipeline is going to come back online after this maintenance, we think that Russia is going to continue to limit flows to Europe throughout this whole winter as part of a strategy to keep prices high and to keep Europe guessing. It's what they've been doing in the past. And we think that it's more likely that they will continue to do that, continue with selective cutoffs rather than the less likely scenario of a more massive attempt at cutoffs of multiple points of gas, of Russian gas entry to Europe.
So continuing with selective cutoffs, and of course, cutting gas flows is Russia's card to play here. It's obviously prompting rising prices across the Eurozone. It's now forcing some of these member states to go ahead and enact rationing measures. And more broadly, it also risks pushing Europe into a wider and deeper recession. Do you think that there is the prospect, though, that we could see EU member states actually starting to fold here? What's the risk that we do see some kind of sanctions relief? I mean, look, it's probably unlikely, but what is the risk that these member states actually start to really feel the pinch and start to reverse policy as a result?
Yeah, that's a great question. That risk certainly exists. We don't think that it's particularly likely just because we think that European states are continuing to comfortably fill their storage. And as this goes on, and as Russia continues to supply Europe, we think that the potential potency of that is going to decline with time. Although even if Russia doesn't engage in significantly more cutoffs, it's clear that that is the kind of strategy that the Kremlin is attempting to engage in. And we are seeing, you're right, some signs of disgruntlement and questioning of the sanctions policy, but it's mostly on the political fringes of Europe. And at this time, there's not really an indication that a major European government is preparing to change its stance vis-a-vis sanctions, although it's clear that the way Russia is doing these shutoffs, right, the way it's done the Nord Stream 1 shutoff, constantly reminding of sanctions and saying if there were no sanctions, then a lot of these maintenance issues would be resolved and flows would be renewed. That's a clear sign from the Kremlin that it's wanting and hoping that sanctions kind of solidarity amongst the European state will fracture, but we don't think that's going to happen by the end of this calendar year.
We also have this emergency meeting of ministers across Europe set to take place next week. And later on this year, we're going to see the Russian oil embargo taking effect. That embargo on refined products also coming into place at the start of next year. What impact do you expect these measures to have, and how can Europe respond?
Yeah, those are really interesting moments. We think that the problem with a lot of these, the refined product ban is interesting in that, right, Europe needs more refined product, and that's what they would have wanted to help cushion prices to prevent a lot of the high gasoline prices that the continent is seeing. We are more or less kind of skeptical that those measures will be particularly effective. As far as what Europe can do to respond, I think it's what they have been doing. It's not giving in. It's of course insulating its markets, doing reforms targeted at basically helping the countries build agreements amongst themselves to share gasoline, to have agreements about what kind of procedures they're going to do in the case of an energy emergency. And basically, we think that as long as Europe sticks together and there's a spirit of cooperation, then that's really the best thing they can do to respond. And if they show unity with each other, then eventually that's going to force the Kremlin to back off, because the alternative for the Kremlin, right, following up on these threats and engaging in massive shutoffs is not a particularly attractive option to Russia either.